Coming into tonight, the Mets hold a game-and-a-half lead over the San Francisco Giants for the final wild card spot, just behind the Giants, the Diamondbacks in red. So it looks like we'll have a four-team race for one spot in the NL with less than 2 weeks to go. Let's talk a little Mets baseball. Welcome in Casey Stern. Check out his podcast, Unfiltered, wherever you get your podcast, and on YouTube. Also a host on 680 The Fan down in Atlanta. Casey, good to see you. Happy Monday.
Hello, boys. How we doing here on this Monday without a Mets game, which means we don't have any heart attacks and no more therapy, at least for 24 hours.
No, before they take on the Padres tomorrow night. All right, how big was that home run, Casey, yesterday afternoon for Alonso and for this Mets team against Texas?
I mean, it was everything. You give them 9 losses in a row, then the day off to sit there and sink and think about it against a Padres team that's winning ball games. Their offense red hot, coming in flying high. Won 3 out of 4 against the Rockies. We know what Colorado is and isn't, but still feeling good about themselves. And remember, San Diego playing for not only the wild card race they're in ahead of the Mets in that 2 spot, but also for the division where they're only 2.5 out. It's that huge sigh of relief, and Figgy knows this better than anybody. You get in that clubhouse, you sit there, leave after being swept by the Rangers, and get to sit there and think about it for 24 hours. I think a way different ball game going into the beginning of this series and the last 6 games of this homestand. It was a necessary punch, similar to last year against the Brewers, as it was said by Gary, I think, on the broadcast, kind of a save season, kind of a swing from Pete.
Yeah, a big one for Pete Alonso right there. The Mets have 12 games left to go. They lead the Giants by just a game and a half. You think they make the playoffs?
I think they make the playoffs. The Giants and Buster trying to go all in. We know they can pitch. They just called up today Bryce Eldridge, who's their #1 overall, their top prospect. He's 13th overall in the league. 6'7" first baseman, replaced Dominic Smith, former Met, who's going to be out, it looks like, at least the rest of the regular season. So I think the Giants probably the most dangerous, and the teams behind them. The Mets should make the playoffs. The question is what the question has been. And even though I know the offense has tailed off during the last couple of weeks, it's about starting pitching and the lack thereof and the lack of depth. Clay Holmes going to open in this series. Is he going to be piggyback from Sean Manaea? We don't know yet. Does Manaea get a start in this series? What about Jonah Tong coming off giving 6 runs up with a 2/3 of inning performance against the Rangers? So I think they will go in the last couple of weeks as far as the starting rotation outside of Nolan McLean goes, because whoever would have known, guys, or thunk, guy who's been here for what, seemingly 7 minutes, is clearly now the one you trust every 5 days. I know Peterson most of the time, but even he hasn't been as good here in the second half.
No question. Casey, if this team does make the playoffs, they punch their ticket, how dangerous do you think this team will be?
I think all of that depends on whether or not they could ride these young arms. I think you go back to last year, and even the offense gave them, and certainly Frankie Lindor at the front end of that, right? Alonso with the home run against the Brewers, Jesse Winker off the bench. We know about all the different things they did offensively. It was about the pitching that they got and the performances from the likes of Sean Manaea and Jose Quintana, who kept them in and gave them chances to win games late. Pitching for them is a big issue, and I think, to me, how do they use the depth? Do we see Senga come back? Do one of these guys end up in the pen? Because right now, I don't know about you, but trust is not a thing for a Met fan or for Carlos Mendoza, really even with Edwin Diaz, because you're having to use him in 4, 5, 6 out scenarios. You can't do that every day of the last 12 games of the season and then ride into that long stretch in October. How the bullpen is used, the depth of the starting rotation will carry them as short or as deep as they go in October.
No doubt. Right now, Casey, if you had to pick a World Series matchup, who'd it be?
If I had to go World Series right now, I would probably lean towards picking I like San Diego. I think they're a very dangerous team. I know they beat up the Mets the last time they faced them. I love the way their bullpen looks at the back end. I worry about the Phillies, even though Nola the last 2 starts has been good, so I'd go San Diego. The AL is really a crapshoot. I can't trust the Tigers outside of Skubal. I probably would take one of the 2 teams in the West, either the Astros or Seattle, to come out. I think it would be a great story if it was the Mariners. But I think one thing we have, guys, this year in both leagues, it really could be anybody's game coming into October. So the hot hands will end up in the World Series for sure.
Casey, how is it being a Met fan doing shows down in the ATL?
It's painful, Moose. It's painful. Because I'm honest about it. I mean, you know, you're a radio host like me. I mean, you're honest about it. So then when you're honest about it, all you hear about is the pain.
Yeah.
I mean, I took my son to one game this year, and it was the game that Chris Sale pitched 8 brilliant innings and then dove and ended up being out for a couple weeks after that. The Mets, I think, had 3 hits, couldn't score a run. So it is painful, but it's good to be at least a little bit far away because, as you know, you don't have to walk around, in Penn Station sitting there with everybody that's a Met fan talking to you about all the angst. I at least get to step away from it and hear about Michael Penix instead.
Casey, you're the best. Thanks for a couple minutes tonight. Enjoy the last 2 weeks of the season, all right?
Anytime, boys. Good to see you both.
You as well. Some